and I would like to call this public session of the Normandy Schools Collaborative Joint Executive Board meeting to order. Ms. Rigsby, can we establish a quorum through a roll call?
Yes, sir. President Hodge,
Present.
Vice President Humphrey,
Present.
Director Edwards,
Present.
Director Pearson,
Present.
Director Milton Roberts.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 2.1, adoption of the agenda. We have received this agenda in advance with its material, so I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The ayes have it. Item 3.1, the start of the school year. These are items for information. We just wanted a casual update. We're asking for our superintendent to provide that, or if one of your designees. It's an opportunity for celebration. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me go with the concerns first. The concern is that we have a really high transient population. And in that, a lot of our mail has been returned to sender because of addresses not valid. I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 125, 150. So that affects transportation. It affects enrollment. So that's one thing. We're probably at about 60% of our student population who has registered. So we're still pressing the button on that. The good thing is our students are in our buildings. They're excited. They're moving through the halls. There's some patience, a lot of patience with our students because we had a lot of hiccups and we continue to have hiccups, but our students are having growing pains along with us, and they're really owning our concerns, and so they're making sure that they're adapting to those concerns. High school is moving about, middle school is moving about. Two of our pinch points last year, they're not really pinch points this year, so they made some moves to make sure that they support students right and families the right way. So kudos to the high schools and high school and the middle school. The elementary schools typically don't have those kinds of issues.
Thank you so much, Dr. Triplett. Any questions at this time from the board? Great, thank you. Being none, we'll move on to item 4, items for action. Tonight's agenda will focus primarily on item 4.1, health insurance renewal recommendation. And I think Mr. Brooks is going to walk us through that. So welcome, Mr. Brooks.
Good morning, Executive Board and Dr. Triplett and the Normandy community. Great to see you all this evening. We are excited about bringing the insurance proposal and renewal before you. We have two gentlemen with our broker, the Richard K. Gaines, Inc. Brokerage. We've got Rick Gary and then the president of the organization, Richard Gaines, that are present. And at this time, they're going to come forward to talk with us with regard to the insurance options and the recommendation that we have for Cigna. This time, without further introduction, we're going to bring these gentlemen forward.
We're going to ask technology to blow this screen up a little bit bigger so that we can see the full screen here if possible. Hey man, God is good.
Well, yeah, we're talking about 2 different screens.
Well, this one, hopefully this is one they're seeing.
My chart actually pretty good. Just this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is there a way to go full screen by?
Yeah, that's what I was.
What happened with this screen? Yeah, this one here. Yeah. So on.
We'll ask Chief Norm to rap. I'm just kidding. We won't rap at anything.
No, no.
Please no.
That's it. And that's so. Oh, so something else that you just I'm over. That here. This, which is it's that's the same one. Is there a way to get that?
If aren't those three ellipses, won't they give us an option for full screen?
It's not in PowerPoint, but I think that may be the problem.
All the way over to the three dots right there?
Yeah.
Will that give us it down below that? Or that's an option too. That
Next to the printer,
that full screen was right there.
but download.
It's a PDF, so I'm trying to download
Yeah,
it.
it's
so I
not-
can-
Oh, okay. You're gonna do.
It's not a
I'm sorry. I'm just the old guy.
We weren't gonna tell
You want me to rap?
You sound like Phyllis.
I'm
Diller.
sorry. We realized it was.
Okay.
That,
No, you sound like Phyllis Diller. We don't want you.
Okay.
This one, bottom one. I think this one is. Oh, you already got out. You got out there. Hold this down.
Increased.
It's so expensive. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
well, ask them.
Increase your Zoom.
There we go. So,
Most healthcare don't. Yeah, don't.
right.
Our healthcare don't at the moment.
It does. Yeah. We didn't used to that stuff.
That's all anything.
We need some. We need to get somebody even younger. Well, let's not hold things up.
No doubt, John.
Thank you for being with us this evening, Mr. Gaines. The floor is yours.
It's got niggas.
Zoom. Thank you.
Oh, it's been.
Sorry.
There we go. We can see that.
We there now.
Yeah. Increase your Zoom.
Just a little bit more.
Thank you so much.
All you have to do is.
Good evening.
It
Good evening. It's a pleasure to come before you with what we think is very good news. We were engaged by Normandy School District in May of 23 to address what were some structural problems with the way in which your schools were being, where your staff was being insured. And over the course of a year, we were involved quite a bit with your staff as it related to your central office staff as it related to some of those problems, some of the concerns they had that they felt were not being addressed to their satisfaction. So we spent time with them, quite a bit of time, getting to know more about the culture of the school, what it was you were seeking from your central office staff. And as a consequence of that, we work with your staff to move this district from a partially self-insured plan to a fully insured plan. Now, the impact of that to you is that it gives you a structured understanding of what your costs will be. What we were afraid of is that in many cases when this is done, the cost for the insurance actually goes up. But lo and behold, because of very, very competitive claims over the last 2 years, your pricing went down, and it went down considerably. With the first renewal documents from your former carrier, and I'm saying former carrier, I think with your efforts this evening that may be the case, your former carrier's first renewal rates were $378,000 higher than what a competing carrier came in with. And we went to all carriers who basically do the business of insurance for districts such as yours or groups such as yours in the metropolitan area. Your existing carrier, without knowledge from us, just simply said, we said to them, we did not think you were going to be competitive or you were competitive as you could be. So they came back with another quote, which was better, but they were still $250,000 higher than what we're here to present to you this evening. And it's important to understand that you are losing nothing. Your staff is losing nothing. You will have all of your benefits, and with the additional resources, maybe even more. But the first challenge was to make sure that you did not lose and your staff lost no benefits. And again, I think you may find some surprises in not only not losing, but some better provisions. As an example, if your claims remained under $3.9 million this year, in addition to what you have already received, you will even get additional funds back. Now, the amount of funds is purely based upon what your claims are, but your cost does not go up. It can only go down. And we were extraordinarily happy to see this when it came into our offices. Any questions in terms of where we were and how we got here? There being none, Rick, would you like to walk them through what the numbers are for employees?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the honor to actually speak to you today. And I also thank the insurance team that I've had the great pleasure of working with, one of the most professional organizations, a group of people that I've had the pleasure, and I've been in about 35 years. So most people work for me know I'm a numbers guy. That's why I'm Richard, and I've been friends for a number of years. You currently have 3 different plans. So I'm going to try to get to the bottom line, and I'll answer any detailed questions that you have. But basically, when we went out,
Would you mind coming to the closer?
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
so
you.
we went out to we were out to Renewal. We got renewals. We got quotes from several different companies, and I won't bore you, but the insurance teams have them. And so we narrowed it down to the most competitive was actually Cigna. Cigna came in with just a great quote. And that's the number that we're going to be talking about compared to United Healthcare. And United Healthcare actually came at a good quote too. They actually made a very competitive renewal, but just not what Cigna. And that number is $375,000 was less than the basic United Healthcare renewal plan. And then United Healthcare came in additional reduced it because they thought that they needed to do something. But yes,
I want to make sure. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay. Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry.
I know we have an amazing inside voice.
Yeah, exactly. I got amazing bass for radio too. By the way.
Pull it down a little bit.
All right,
There you go. Testing.
testing.
That's better.
Testing.
Better.
All right. I'm not sure where I left off, but basically, I want to look at actually numbers where we started from. And I can go through all the numbers, but I won't kind of bore you. You see the screen before you, and also I'll answer any detailed questions you have. But the crux of the matter is that you are going to be saving $375,000 based on the renewal, United Healthcare renewal, which was a very aggressive renewal. By transferring to Cigna, you're going to save at least $375,000, and $225,000 of that comes from just the base renewal. But then Cigna said, "Hey, if you give us the dental and vision, we'll throw another $50,000 off the top." So that's where we get the number $375,000 from. And I mean, not it changes benefits. Actually, we actually kind of improve the benefits somewhat. And basically, that, yes. Go ahead. Any question?
No, go ahead.
All right. And that comes from the base plan. You currently have 3 plans: buy-up plan, base plan, HSA. The base plan is the plan that the district pays 100% or most of, and then the buy-up plan is a little bit richer plan. The base plan did not have doctor's office copays, and that was somewhat unusual. So we're able to put a doctor's office copay for primary care physicians and also specialists, even on the base plan. So now your base plan and your buyout plan looks very much the same. And the difference is on the buyout plan, you have something called a healthcare reimbursement account that if someone has a claim and it hits that deductible, you furnish the first $1,000, and then on the buyout plan, that's the buyout plan. The base plan, you furnish the first $500. Basically, that's kind of the only difference in the plan. Your out-of-pocket cost is the same, though, but now that base plan looks very much like the buyout plan, and for a few dollars less. So that's an improvement, an enhancement on the benefit that you currently have. Last year, you know that we actually put a urgent care copay that you did not have on the base plan. We put that on the base plan last year. So if you look at your base plan now, that compares to almost, you go anywhere in St. Louis area, anywhere almost in the country, your plan on the base plan is strongly very competitive. And then also you offer the buyout plan, and also you offer the healthcare savings account.
Appreciate the information that you shared with us. Can you explain in terms of what we're looking at here, so that everybody's on the same page? Can you describe to us what we're seeing here projected on the screen?
Okay. The current column, and I won't, unless you want me to, I won't go. I'm going to just look at the bottom number.
Okay.
I'm trying to see how to scroll down. Okay. Sorry. Great. So I'm looking at that annual number, the bottom number. So the projection on your annual number, and the reason we say projection because we don't know what the claims are yet going to come through, but we're pretty confident it's going to come through around $4.3, $4.5, $4.4 million. That's what you're going to be paying for that 12-month period from October 1st, 2023 through September 30, 2024. And if you compare that with what with the ASO renewal, I'm going to use, if I use a term, please, let me know that that the ASO really is a partial self-funded plan, and that's the plan you're on right now.
Here's what we would love to do. Although the folks on the board have had an opportunity to look over this information in advance, we have lots of people joining us who may not be as familiar with what they're looking at. And so since we provided this information, it would be great to give an overview. I think what we're looking at are three categories that our employees have an opportunity to choose from. We have in the first category currently what we're paying, and then in the last column under Cigna, we have the options that we're recommending.
That's correct.
All right, so it's just so that we're all on the same page. So all of our employees have an opportunity, and maybe if with the larger headings, right, Premier Plan, Standard Plan, and HAS plan, if you could describe what those are, because I think what you did was you explained the differences of them, but not according to these categories.
So the first one, I believe, is the base plan. The premier plan is the first. Premier plan is also called the buyout plan because that allows the employees to actually buy up to a richer benefit.
Okay.
And the way it's currently structured is that buyout plan is a $3,000 deductible. You get the doctor's office copay, $20 for specialists, $20 for primary care physicians, $40 for specialists, and you got a drug card. Okay. After you satisfy your $3,000 deductible, UHC pays 100%. However, Normandy says if you have your first $1,000 of expenses that goes toward a deductible, we're going to pay that first. So therefore, the out-of-pocket cost from a deductible perspective is only $2,000 for that premier plan. So the employees, and you have 100, I think you have 109 employees based on that has opted into that premier plan. Yes.
So when they, okay, so it's a $20 individual copay, $40 copay, $3,000 deductible. Normandy Schools Collaborative is going to pay the first 1,000. Is that like automatically done, or is there like something that they have to do?
That's an internal thing that I don't know how it's done.
It's not that serious. I just didn't know if it was like transparent or.
Yeah, it's
But they'll get that if either they'll pay it and get reimbursed, or will.
yes. I'm not sure how that process works, but that is the end result is that when an expense goes toward a deductible, Normandy will pay the
Get that
first $1,000 of those expenses.
And this is the premier plan is
That's the premier plan.
it used to be the buy-up.
Yeah, and you may hear me call it the buy-up plan. You also may hear referred to the pre, but that's the same thing.
Okay.
So,
Okay, gotcha.
all right.
All right.
Cheryl, I don't think your microphone is on.
Sorry. No, it's on. I'm just not talking
Yeah.
into it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think I got it. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
I'm making lots of notes, so I just want to make sure I got it right. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that's the premier plan. So I think most of you guys are pretty familiar with what that is because you've been having it for what 3 or 4 years. The base plan was designed to reduce premiums to allow most of the people to have a quality plan and actually be insured. And that's on this chart is the standard plan. That plan benefits as is. It's a $3,000 deductible, but there is no doctor's office copay. You go to a doctor, you pay the doctor's office charge, whether that's a primary care physician or a specialist. And then that comes out of your pocket. Once you hit the deductible of $3,000, the plan pays 90%, and then the insured pays 10%. Actually, out-of-pocket cost, I believe, is the same $4,000, no matter whether it's a 100% plan or the 100% on a premier plan or the standard plan. And then you have the healthcare savings. The computers tend to actually want to autocorrect, but that HAS should be HSA. More. Yeah. So that HAS should be healthcare savings account.
Okay.
Healthcare savings account, great deal, if you use it right. So, and the reason it's a great deal, it doesn't have a doctor's office copay. It doesn't have a drug copay. And what they want you to do, they want you to pay those dollars out of your pocket. Actually, they want you to put those dollars in an account someplace. I think the current is $3,000. I think the new regs, they got to bump that up to $3,200. So basically, if you put $3,200 and those are pre-tax dollars in an account, do it every year. Every year. And if you don't use it, it accumulates. When the HSA, when it was first actually introduced and written in law, it was called the medical savings account or medical annuity because the regs looks like an annuity. So if you take $3,000 out of your account, and let's say you're in a 30% tax, let's say 30% tax bracket, that's like $900 to the bottom line. All right. So, and that's the reason for having a healthcare savings account, and you can accumulate those dollars, and as long as you use them for medical expenses, they're non-taxable. Yes.
So, can you do pre-tax on the premier as well as the standard plan as well?
Not for deductibles.
No. I mean the premiums. They can do pre-tax.
Yes. In fact, we are recommending something called a flexible spending account. Will allow you to do that, and also allow you to other interesting things that are there as well. But the healthcare savings account is really designed for you to take those dollars, put them in this bucket pre-tax. If you have that doctor's office visit, let's say for $250, you just take those dollars out of that and pay. But if you don't have any expenses, those things can be accumulated, and at 59.5. You can take those dollars out and use it for anything, not just medical. And it will be it will be ordinary income. And so you got $100,000 in that account. You want to go to Hawaii, you can take $20,000 out and go to Hawaii, and you would be taxed as ordinary income. But it's a great plan for young employees who don't think they're going to have any claims.
Okay.
Any question about the different plans? Again, yes.
Will there be some type of information given? Because the information we have is from United Healthcare.
Yeah, we're gonna provide information for Cigna as well, because Cigna, when I first started talking, I mentioned that we upgraded the base plan. In that base plan now, you now have a doctor's office copay. $20 for primary care, $40 for specialists.
Okay.
So if you look at your base plan as opposed to your the standard plan as opposed to the premier plan, the only difference on that plan now is the 90 after you've satisfied the deductible on the premier plan is 100%. On the standard plan is 90%, but the out-of-pocket maximum is the same, $4,000. So if you look at those two plans looks very much alike. Now, you cannot have a copay prior to the deductible on the healthcare savings account. Healthcare savings account does not allow you to do that. That's why you don't see a copay. Now, there are plans that after you satisfy your deductible, you can have a copay, but not prior to the satisfying deductible. So, and that's just the way the regs are written. The other technical reason why they don't want you to do that, but just understand you can't have a copay if you're in the healthcare savings account. Having said all those three plans, if you had just renewed on the plan you're on now, you didn't do anything, you just let's sign a renewal. That new liability, and I'm going to call it a cost liability because I can't really call it a premium because I don't know, because it's basically under the partially self-funded, there are two pieces. You have fixed costs. That means those are costs you're going to pay whether you have any claims or not. Yeah, and then there's claims. And one of the issues was that you guys get hit with a claims bill every week. You don't know what it is. It goes up and down and up and down. That number is $6,353,517. Okay, if you just did nothing and just renew, that's your exposure. United Health, we looked at having a fully insured plan last year, but we knew we couldn't do it last year because there was some structural problems within the self-funded plan you had, and that is you had an unfunded liability. You didn't have something called, again, I hate to get into some of these technical terms, but you didn't have something called an aggregate stop loss, and that meant that if you didn't really know what your claims could be. It could be low, it could be high, but there was no cap on what those claims would be. So in order, if you're going to make a change from one plan to another, as you know, in good insurance agents and risk managers, we wanted to make sure that you knew what your exposure would be, and so that's why we implemented a aggregate stop loss. So we knew what the worst case scenario would be if you made that change. So now, when we got the quote this year, we asked United Healthcare for a fully insured quote. And that fully insured quote is $4,775,000. Again, look at great numbers compared to what your number would have been. Also, we went out to market. We got quotes from other carriers. Carrier that came in the most aggressive was Cigna. Cigna's number is $4,447,000. Again, that if you look at the numbers, that's $328,000 less. But Cigna said, threw another little carrot in there. Say, hey, we write dental and vision too. We like to write the dental. If you give us a dental, we're gonna put another $50,000. We're gonna take another $50,000 off the table. That's where that number, $375,000, $378,000 come from.
Go ahead, Mr. Humphrey.
As I look at the numbers in front of me and I've analyzed it, when you look at the first category, which is the Premier Plan current versus Cigna, those numbers, I can appreciate how they look because the monthly premium for current was 147,974, and Cigna is at 138,976, which is basically a $9 million reduction. So I do see that. As I look through each of the categories in terms of what's happening with employees, with spouse, children, and family, all of those numbers I'm good with because they're less than the current numbers from the prior year with United Healthcare. As I get to the standard plan, I'm having some issues, and here's my issues. I look at the bottom line of monthly at the standard is 159,957. Cigna's at 169,065, which is a $10 million increase overall.
Actually, we're looking at 100. It's 159,000.
159,000. I added too many commas.
Right. That's right.
But even so, it's $10,000 more than the current.
Right.
The other thing I looked at, I did a comparison between the current for all of the categories versus the Cigna. The first category for employee only, where there's 141 people, that's actually an increase against what we were currently doing. The second category is okay, is actually a reduction compared to the current. The third one is an increase compared to where we are. And the fourth one is also an increase to where we are. And so overall, that second category, I'm not seeing people on standard plan faring very well because of the 1, 2, 3, 4 categories that are there. There's at least 3 of those categories that are higher than the prior year. So aside from bundling the dental and the other things to get to 50,000, I'm concerned about what can we do to become more competitive between current, because right now anybody that's currently in the standard plan is gonna see an increase if my analysis of these numbers are correct. So help me understand how that category is going to get some better numbers, because right now those numbers are not where I think they would need to be for the employees to be excited about them.
Let me explain or kind of why the numbers are what they are. They actually based on the claim. So when Cigna priced these out, that's how they priced them out. Now, how you pay Cigna, they don't really care. What they're looking at, 4,470,000. That's what they're looking at. How you allocate those dollars, you can allocate those dollars based on however you would prefer to allocate those dollars. This is actuarially, this is what the pricing should be based on these plans.
And I do understand the actuarial explanation. What I'm looking at is the money that's coming out of the employee's pocket, because that's the thing they're going to be most concerned about. They could almost care less about the actuarial numbers. They want to know how much money are we spending.
Right. Here, so maybe I didn't explain. So you have, let's say you get the $378,000 number over here.
Mm-hmm.
You can take those numbers and allocate them however you want. Cigna really doesn't care whether you charge $908 or $1,081 for that employee cost. Cigna's looking at, they're going to send you a bill every month for that, whatever that number is, and that's what they want. You have the ability to allocate those dollars however you choose.
Okay, so let me, because I'm not sure I'm understanding. So you're saying that what you're telling me is that the cost per person, and I was going to look at the Premier plan, is $980.78, and then for the base plan it's $962.29, and for the health savings account it's $1016. So what you're saying also is that that's the total cost. But then you can say the employee pays 5%, 10%, 20%, 100%, however much. So that's where the difference in cost comes in, is in what percentage we're asking the employee to pay versus what percentage we're paying.
Yes. So
okay.
If you reallocate these numbers, when you get a bill from Cigna, unlike now, you get 2 bills, you get a fixed cost bill, you get a claims bill every week. You get 1 bill a month. And what Cigna says, send me these dollars.
Right.
What you charge the employees, how much you pay for the premier plan, how much you pay for the standard plan.
So you're saying we set the rate?
They really don't care. They just want that.
Yeah. So we set the rate.
You set the rate.
So basically, we have a bill, it's for this much money, but we set the employee rate.
Yes.
So our decision has to be, what is the employee rate?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And you got to remember, you got these dollars over here, so
Right.
you have a lot of flexibility.
Right, and that's the point I was trying to get to,
Yeah.
because if we can, in fact, for the employee, it would not feel like we're doing something that's beneficial to them unless their rate is equal to or less than what they're currently paying. Anything other than that, it's a concern. So if we in fact can manage that to make those, because see, when I looked at the premier category, I had no problems with that, because all the numbers as you listed it in the example were less than. It's just that when I looked at the standard, we didn't have that issue. So if we can manage that to make sure that, especially with the standard plan, that we in fact make certain that the people that are in the standard plan feel the difference in the change, not just know that there's been a change. And that's, I'm always concerned about the bottom line as it relates to what comes out of the check and what's left to take home. So if we can take a look at that and make sure that that's something that folks can see the difference, then it makes a huge difference.
And that's totally up to you how you do it.
Right.
Okay. So I just want to point out the fact that I recognize that difference, and the fact that we can manage that and assign that, I'm okay with that, as long as we take care of our people.
So let me ask this question. So at this particular juncture in time, and probably I would need to direct it to you, we have a percentage that we pay and a percentage that the employee pays. And so we'll then be able to use that to kind of come up with what our formula would be. Is that the way that works? Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm.
I just wanted to make one point that I think is very important to be understood. As trending is a process by which insurance companies in the area take an area idea of what the cost will be in terms of near next year's costs. And most of your insurance costs are based on trending. Now, trending in this area for the last 10 or 15 years, meaning how much of an increase there has been in the marketplace, has been anywhere from 9 to 12%. What your staff did in anticipation of that was to take what was it, 8%? These said prior to our knowing anything about it, because we didn't need to know anything about it, we're going to build into this budget an 8% increase so that we are close to where we would need to be in terms of what the raises will be. Now, the good news about that you really need to understand, and we want to make sure you do understand, is that you are way under that. You are substantially under that. So the issues that you're addressing now, which are absolutely the best issues you could address, is how do we allocate funds? You have a staff that's capable of understanding that. We had to spend quite a bit of time talking about allocations of funds by category. So what you will see in front of you now is just raw numbers in terms of if you did everything one way, you are absolutely correct. This would have been a penalty to some people. The facts are you're going to have probably, I'm going to say over $500,000. We're talking about 370 something. You're going to have over $500,000 additional funds to make those changes with. Now, what becomes critically important when you do this? You know, sometimes we're always concerned about not having enough. Because that's what you get hurt with when your employees say, oh my goodness, my rate's gone up and I got to pay more. You have to be competitive in the marketplace to keep your staff. So you always want to make these things as good as you can make them, which is I understand exactly the points that you're making. You don't only have a little more, a $370,000 or $250,000 more. You have a substantially larger amount. And we caution in these situations, we caution you, do not overspend that amount because insurance costs go up and down. and they're directly related to the claims and what the claims are going to be this year, next year, etc. So when you get we'll say a windfall, if you would, you don't want to spend all of it because you have to have some in reserves when your rate goals may not go as favorable as it did this time. So I think the concern that you have with looking at these raw numbers would be a valid concern. I think they go away when you really get into and your staff gets to a point where they're actually looking at how they're going to allocate funds. I think you're going to be as competitive, and I can say this to you, knowing something about the surrounding districts. You're going to be, from this standpoint, you're going to be extraordinarily competitive in terms of this benefit that you're offering compared to your competition for staff.
And I do appreciate that explanation. And I looked at that number through two lenses. I looked at it through the lens of the employees that are currently here, but I'm also looking at it through the lens of the employees that we're trying to recruit.
Right.
And we need to make sure that what we're offering, especially when we talk about the fact that we're looking for teachers with more and more experience, that also means later in life with family and children, and we need to make sure that what we're offering them is competitive enough to be a draw. Not only the salary, but the benefits plays a very important part of that equation. So I appreciate your explanation.
You have to deal with a process called highly competitive classroom teachers, and that is what drives a part of your rating from the state. We're familiar with that.
Yes.
You will be able to your health insurance benefits will not detract your ability to recruit.
Good.
It will in fact help you recruit because you have an extraordinarily strong plan, outstanding options, and good cost.
Okay, so great. Thank you for the rich discussion and exchange. What we have essentially is a proposal for us to have the same benefits that have been offered in the past at a cheaper cost. And so we just want to make sure that everyone is clear and have their questions answered as we move on. Yes, sir.
Clarification, or actually explanation on the program that Cigna offers. Remember, Cigna offers is a partially self-funded plan too, but it's a different kind of partially self-funded plan. It looks like a fully insured plan because you pay one premium per month. So they don't charge you no matter what the claims are, you're going to pay that premium, and the only variable is how many employees you have or don't have. So that's going to go up or down. At the end of the 15th month, so let's say from October 1st, 2024 to December 2025, they're going to do a reconciliation. Part of that premium, part of that $4.4 million, part of it is fixed costs, just like part of the claim. If the claims number, the actual claims, is less than the claims that the max claims, which is about 3.5 million. Let's say that claim number, the actual claim that came in was like 3.3 million. They're going to split half that with you. So not only do you get a fixed cost every month, you know what your worst case scenario is. If they guess high, then they're going to share some of those savings with you.
And if they guess low,
you're good to go. You've already paid.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Well, if they guess high, why don't we get all of it?
I understand that. I understand.
So what? Can I ask another? Go ahead.
There's an additional question. Is that true?
Yes. Two questions. Is there a wellness component to this?
Yes.
And does the
EAP?
So there's an EAP, but is there a wellness component, i.e., they physicals and things like that, preventative health?
Preventive health is already
because I know. Okay, that's what I. Okay.
And I was explaining to the committee, to the team, Cigna, what they want to do on your wellness program. They want to come in and sit down with you and design a wellness program.
That's my next question. Okay, so there'll be like different things that we can encourage our staff to do that will help with wellness, which in turn will drive down the cost.
You know, there's not going to be a baller-plated thing. They got baller, but what they want to do, they want to sit down with you and say, okay,
Okay.
here's what we can do. Here's the here's the guidelines, here's the money. How can we best allocate these
Right.
money, these dollars and
Yeah.
guidelines to best serve you?
Yeah, because what I'm
custom design that plan for you.
Yeah, because what we're saying, what I'm saying is that if we can do that, we can really impact the cost in a positive way. If we can, even if it's giving a gift card because everybody gets their blood pressure checked and all that kind of stuff, just different things.
I think with the implementation of the doctor's office copay,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably going to see that happen
Okay.
just with that, because right now on the standard plan, they have to access urgent care.
Yeah.
If you got a doc, what we know in the healthcare business, the insurance business, if you can have a relationship with a primary care physician, your health outcomes are tremendously better.
Totally different.
And why don't people if you don't have a doctor's office copay, you probably will not have a good relationship with a primary care physician.
Right.
Put a doctor's office copay on there, $20 copay for primary care, $40 for specialists. That's going to encourage people to get regular checkups, because I know my doctor, who's actually a client of mine as well. They make sure
Right.
that I'm up on my shots, that I get my physicals. They communicate with me. They are actively engaged. And so that's having that doctor's office copay. I believe you may not see it in the first 6 months, you may not see it in the first year, but believe me, that cost curve is going to start going down.
Okay. And then you said that your team wants to sit down, so you literally do like client management as it relates to that.
Well, really, Cigna's going to do it. I would
No, that's what I
I would
mean.
take the credit.
Yeah,
for it.
no. So Cigna will do that, but we don't have to bring in another staff person.
No.
Okay.
That's Cigna.
Okay.
Cigna want to meet with you to design the plan. So
Okay.
if you start thinking about ideas now, start writing them down, because they want to do it.
Just another quick question from the user perspective. Will this change in provider change who our healthcare providers are?
We did a matchup. Matchups, there may be some outlier, but 99% of the providers, all the big boys in there, all the big hospitals, all the big providers are in there. Just Cigna is one of the they're
So people will be able to keep their doctors. Okay.
Again, I can't say every doctor, but again, it may be an outlier, but that will be an outlier.
Okay. Great. What I'd like to do is to see if there are additional questions. I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to actually start. Go right ahead.
Is it me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions. As an insurance agent, I understand and I like talking about insurance as well, right? But the issue that we have when we come to these forums like this, and we have our audience and our staff that are receiving these benefits, they don't like to talk about insurance like we do. So I really would like to see some education piece to come into our staffing outside of Cigna to help them really understand the differences between these plans. I don't know if Cigna is going to go that far in depth with that, but that would be nice to have, so we can have our staff really understand the differences between the plans and how they can benefit most effectively from each one.
We as insurance agents, we love to talk insurance, as you know, and we love to do that. We love especially when we got good news. So we'll make ourselves available. In fact, we normally have on we normally have employee meetings. In fact, we have at least twice a year. We have a mid-year review, and we also have a annual review. So
Okay.
that's standard practice. I'm not sure, with you. I've insured some school districts. That's your staff before, and so it's become a logistical problem. But that logistical problem is not with us. That's with you guys. How do you arrange people
Right.
for meetings?
Right.
You just tell us where to be, what time to be there, and we're there, and we're prepared to discuss the plan designs.
Okay.
Thank you, Director Edwards. Director Milton Roberts. I think we have Director Pearson next.
Good morning. So you said that you had a committee. Was any of the teachers part of that committee?
Well, we read with the insurance committee.
Insurance committee.
Oh, the insurance
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know if any of the teachers were notified of this type of plans that was switch over?
Our communications has been with with Brooks and
Right.
his committee.
Okay, thank you.
Director Milton Roberts.
I have no more questions. Thank you for giving me the information, and I like the wellness component.
Great. Um, I, uh, Vice President Humphrey.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. Um, I like the fact that you said that our management has a chance to determine what the employee uh, payout will be as it relates to each of these plans. And I would strongly recommend, especially for the standard plan, that we get as close to the current premium, if not less than. Because other than that, if we go up, then employees, they're going to say, yeah, we changed, but at the end of the day, it impacted my bottom line. And I want to impact the bottom line in a more positive way. So if we can figure out a way to make those payouts equal to or less than the current plan in the standard, I know a lot of people would be happy. At least 150 or so people would be happy with that decision. So that's all I have.
Yep. Now, again, how you allocate
That's our
those dollars,
That's us.
yeah, that's yours.
Yeah,
Uh,
I appreciate
One thing that
Good.
you asked me to do and address, and that has to do with what the industry and how much the employer pays for employee calls
Yeah.
vis-a-vis dependent calls.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find directly, but did some analysis, and I'm gonna use some rounding numbers, but they're pretty close. If you go to, Google or do it in any of the websites for specifically for employee benefits, generally you're going to find that the average employer pays 80% of the employee calls and 20% and still 20% of dependent calls. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 70% of dependent calls. All right. So I did some numbers, which means that if you drop from 100% to 80% and then increase the amount that you're paying for dependent calls, that'll be a net savings to the district of about $400,000. The problem with that is that you're hurting that employee, and you have about 50. And the numbers that I'm using, by the way, are really the numbers that United Healthcare use for the renewal. It may be more now, maybe less, but when they sent me the renewal, I'm using that same head count. And based on that head count, you have about, I think, 49, maybe 50 dependent units. And if you reduce that, pay 80%, come down from 100, pay 80%, and pay 70% of the dependent cost, it would be a net saving to you're actually, it'll be a windfall to the district. However, that employee cost, and you're gonna improve the lives of 50 people, but you're gonna hurt the lives of 300 and 311.
Listen, I appreciate the dialogue. These are all allocation and contribution decisions that the staff will have to make.
I
So
just wanted to make
at
sure.
this point, what I'd like to do is refer to Mr. Brooks, and if there is a motion that you would like for the board to entertain at this motion, we'd like to hear from you.
Thanks, Board President Hodge. One thing I want to do before we move on with our recommendation, I do want to acknowledge another important person with our benefits team, and that's our benefits coordinator, Andrea Turner here, who really works diligently and very well. She's been doing this for many years, and we really are blessed to have her as a part of our team. But at this time, the administration recommends that, based on the information that we've heard from these two fine gentlemen, et cetera, that the district move forward with the selection of Cigna with its renewal phase, and that's also considering the bundling of the vision and the dental as well.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will entertain a motion as recommended by Mr. Brooks.
I move that we accept the proposed Cigna plan as written, and that we give the benefits team the latitude to come back to us with the amount that they're going to set for the rates.
So it has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there are there any additional questions at this time? A discussion to be had. Yes, Ms. Pearson.
If we can get
Oh, is your mic on?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
If we could get a layout of their I guess I'm looking at this handbook. Maybe there's something more of the district thing here. If we can get this information with Signal, that would be better for me. I don't know about them. Because
Yeah.
I get what you're doing here, but I kind of want to see Signal's information of it. So if we can get a copy of that, possibly that would be great. That's my only request.
Is that request will that determine, is that influencing your vote this evening? Are you
That's not influencing my vote. That is influencing my vote because they're saying that nothing would change between the plans, and if that's beneficial for the teachers and the employees, then great, because that means that we're paying less, but we're still getting the benefits that they had. But if they're saying there's something different and it's not what's in this paperwork that they have, then that's the issue. Does that make sense or no?
okay?
Okay.
So your request is from additional information?
Okay, so we were presented with this handbook, but it has all of United Healthcare's information.
Mm.
I was expecting it to have Cigna's information so that we can see what the employees are receiving as far as the amount, the prices, the different medical plans, the apps, the wellness, all of that. So we can get that. Also, they would just tell me that, hey, we are backing up what we said is going to happen here, that I would feel more comfortable with that. Does that make sense, President Arch?
It does.
Okay.
Is the information to beyond pricing has been requested by Director Pearson. We've been provided with our current information, and it sounds like those in the audience would also like additional information, similar information provided by Cigna, if that is what we're recommending that we go with.
Right.
And so.
So basically, it's a summary of benefits, is what you're
It's a
looking
summary,
Basically.
Okay.
a summary of benefits of both plans.
Right. So they can compare.
And I believe that Director Pearson, it is your privilege to move to table a vote until that information is provided. You do have that option to do that. Before we move in that direction, we do need to know about the timeline for provision of these services. So, Mr. Brooks, I'm going to ask you to come forward for a moment. We call this emergency session because there's some time restraints, and I'd like for you to explore those for us today.
Yes, we are really moving past where we need to be with regard to our renewal process. Normally, Ms. Turner and the group are already in work plan for renewal, working with employees. So I do want to say this, that we have heard the concerns of our teacher and staffing group and you, the board, and we want to make sure that whatever we factor with regard to the basic plan or the buy-up plan, that is attractive for our teachers and our staff. And so we want to do some things, and we will do some things to really keep those costs either neutral or minimal increase. I will say this also, this past year, we actually froze the cost as far as increase. We didn't increase the cost to employees this past year. We want to keep these costs neutral or as close to neutral as possible because we want this package to be attractive. So I do want to just say that as a caveat. Thirdly, with regard to getting the Cigna information, we will make that expedient, working with our broker. We will make sure that within the next few days you all have what you need.
Mr. Brooks, let me ask you a question. Of the committee, did the committee see this information, the benefits as offered by Cigna?
We have seen the information based on this format that we have now in that mix, based on the number of lives in the various categories. So we have seen this information, but again, as Mr. Gary pointed out, we have the option of manipulating.
Hold on a second. I want to be really clear in my question. The information that Director Pearson is requesting, have you seen this information that she's requesting?
When we say seen this information, that the final column with Cigna, that's the information that we've
No,
seen.
not the final.
In this form.
Oh, the breakdown. Just I have seen, yes, portions of it. Yes.
Good.
Usually,
Good. Great.
usually there's just a comparison. There's not necessarily the book, but a comparison so you can see.
Yeah. So we just.
Yes. Yeah.
You've seen this information.
With
Yes.
your eyes.
Has who's on this committee?
There just are a few of us. So we have again Ms. Turner. We have the HR director,
Ms. Turner's here.
Ms. Gilliard. We have our accounting coordinator, Jackie Nix, as well. So those are the members of the committee currently.
I was hoping that someone from NEA was also a part of that.
That's what I asked earlier.
Yeah.
And the folks who are most impacted have also not seen that information.
Right.
And
That's
for
right.
that reason, I think we probably would benefit
Opportunity to see that.
from a motion to table this decision. Because
You
we,
guys okay?
if the right people had seen this information, had previewed it before us, and were able to speak to the comparable benefits, I would feel comfortable moving forward with this vote. So, Director Pearson, are you making a motion to table a vote?
Yes. Yes.
I'm making a motion to table it with the provided information is extended to the NEA, also provided to the board. And since it's on the time restraint, is Wednesday. I know I'm probably asking a lot, but possibly by tomorrow so that we can review this when we're in our training tomorrow.
That seems pretty.
Aggressive.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well,
But this is
Yes.
as quickly as possible, so
Sure.
that everyone can have the
Right.
benefits that they
Because we want
need.
to, we
in
want to make
turn.
sure that they see.
Yes.
because this is simply an outlay of the benefits as they've been defined by Cigna, and I don't have a problem making this a virtual
Yeah.
meeting
Just get-
Please.
to expedite this, but this community would like to compare apples to apples and have an opportunity to see that. Now we do need to have 24 hours before we do that, so we can't do it tomorrow.
Quick question.
Yeah.
But we're working on tabling this and the date. What's the soonest that we could schedule that meeting, Ms. Rigsby?
Okay.
I won't be available.
Yeah. Today's Tuesday.
Still do it.
But we can do that virtually with a quorum. So Mr. Humphrey, go ahead.
Okay. I fully support the information she was requesting, but I also know, is it possible, and I know this may be a tall ask, if we could figure out what those employee payouts would be theoretically under Cigna, so we have a better sense of.
We can determine that ourselves. We can make that what we want it to be.
But I'm saying, in order for us to look at that, is it possible for us to know? Is that impossible to do? If it takes more time, I understand.
So you're saying, you were saying you want to see the rates? Is that
If we were
That's
to
a longer exercise, so that's an entire process that they would have to go
That's
through.
something that they would have to do.
And I'm asking, is that impossible? If it needs more time, I understand.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that we saw the Cigna, the rate, that $4,440,000. That's what we have to pay them, that $370,000 per month. we're good. So whether we internally, yes,
I'm concerned about the internal piece.
sure.
Yeah, we'll be able to reduce all the cost for our employees based upon the general savings. That's understood. So I, I would like to give them time to work that piece out. But I need to know when when is the soonest that we can share the information about the benefits that have been requested, so that we can see
To see the
I'm not-
from.
registration.
Right.
Yeah, we can see the board.
On getting signal, we actually put the doctor's office copay for the standard plan in there. So that is being done right now. I may be able to get it tomorrow, but if I get it tomorrow, I gotta spend a lot of hours going through the
Okay.
make sure that it's making sense. So I would suspect by the end of this week at the latest that that we're at.
Okay.
Probably won't-
So I understand that we've requested an adjustment. They need to give us that information, but we made this recommendation based upon information that we've already had. We're okay with seeing the information previously provided, even though that you're getting us a better deal. We just want to know the basis for the information that you've provided us today beyond these numbers that you've shared. Can you provide us with what you saw, Mr. Brooks, that helped you come to the conclusion that this is apples for apples, what we're asking about?
Sure.
All right, so we should be able to get that within 24 hours.
The full benefits package.
We're just asking that what you saw, we want to see it.
Yep,
Okay. Sure.
absolutely. Just by a nod of heads from our NEA, would that be acceptable if you had a view of what they've already seen?
Okay.
Okay, good. Our NEA president says that would satisfy him. It would that satisfy you, Director Pearson?
It was
All right. So if you could complete, and so if we can get that in the next 24 hours, does that give us enough time to post for a meeting for Friday? It does. Okay, good. So your motion to table a vote for on this agenda item would be until Friday, after we've seen the proposal from Cigna.
yes.
Yes. I'll make them.
All right, great. So we have moved to table this vote until Friday under the provision of the details for Cigna's proposal. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Oh, do we need?
Did we have a second?
Oh, I second.
Oh,
Okay.
So the motion was made by Director Pearson and it was seconded by Milton Roberts.
Edwards.
Edward.
Edwards. Erica Edwards, thank you. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same privilege. All right, so the ayes have it. So it has been tabled till Friday. Thank you so much for this information.
Thank you.
thank you very much. Good job.
At this point, y'all have messed up my whole promise. So with that being said, we have just heard board comments. 5.1. We will give the superintendent an opportunity to make comments and remarks.
None.
There are no comments or remarks. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It is 7. We need a motion to move to the executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Roll call. Roll call vote for executive, moving
To executive session.
how about roll call vote, Ms. Rigsby?
The vote on the floor is to move to executive session. Director Milton Roberts,
Yes.
Director Pearson,
Yes.
Director Edwards,
Yes.
Vice President Humphrey,
Yes.
and President Hodge.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is now 7:09. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this public session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so